Social media is becoming a trusted source of factual information. Now, this is according to a study by the Oxford University Press. However, there are concerns about misinformation and false claims on various platforms. That study also found that traditional means of gathering information, such as reading books, is currently declining. Lucia Ndabula from Oxford University Press, South Africa, joins us now to discuss this even further. Lucia, thank you for your time and good morning to you. Now, what seems to be the new trusted source of information according to your study?
Good morning and good morning to your viewers. The findings of the study actually was to take a broad look at how people access information and check the credibility of its fact, whether it is fact or fiction. So our key finding was that the way in which people discover, understand, and share information is constantly evolving. And because of the prevalence of social media, most people tend to go to social platforms as the first port of call when seeking new information. And we also found out that the internet has become so embedded on how we do things, on how we teach, on how we work, on how we access and share information. And as such, that is what most people do rather than go to the traditional sources.
Yeah, and definitely this shapes people's, understanding or perceptions, whether it's fake news or factual news. That, dependency on social media and the internet seems to be quite fascinating for me. Lucia, I wanted to ask you, just in terms of the survey and how it was conducted, I understand you collected your data from 5,000 people across South Africa, Mexico, India, as well as the UK. How much of that number is accounted for in as far as, South Africans are concerned?
Okay, so it was 1,000 respondents per each of those countries, and this was also supplemented by desk-based researchers and qualitative insights from experts both in Chile and Hong Kong. So it was 1,000 respondents for South Africa. And based on what you said earlier, what was comforting was realizing that 82% of the respondents cited that they would go to multiple sources before sharing any information, just to check the veracity of that information. And as Oxford University Press, we really advocate and champion that people should have critical thinking skills and also consult multiple sources before they can take information as fact. And these sources could also include texts that are peer-reviewed, research from users or consumers of that information. And we really believe that the way in which we develop content is very robust to make sure that we limit the amount of misinformation or one-sided views. So
besides the consumption of information, which also has the risk of it being misinformation, as you've narrated, particularly on social media, it hasn't been verified or fact-checked yet. How confident were some of your respondents that they were not only consuming this information, but also sharing it? How confident are they that they were sharing factual information? Because I'm sure you and I have received at least one or two, WhatsApp videos or information that have circulated in various groups.
Yeah, what was interesting for me was that in South Africa, for example, 43% of the people said they would communicate on WhatsApp, and also that if information is from colleagues or loved ones or family, people tend to share that information on WhatsApp without even checking where the source was and so on. So I think to a large extent, 46% said they use WhatsApp to share information as facts without checking it. I think the way in which they check is if I trust the source, which could be a colleague or a family member, I would, without thinking, just forward that WhatsApp message.
I want to talk about politicians here and government officials being a trusted source of information, Lucia, if I may. I understand that you also have seen quite a significant number of people entrusting government officials, politicians, as almost like a a voice of reason, you know, people that they can rely on to separate fact from fiction?
Yes, that is true. It's 47% actually that still trust politicians and government. But what was most interesting for us was that at academic institutions, universities, and experts, trust in them is at a high. I think because of the unprecedented events of the past 2 years, where we relied so much on hearing on social platforms about the pandemic and so on. So 47% versus 82% of people that really trust experts and academic research.
Right. All right, we'll leave it then. I appreciate you speaking to us this morning. Lucia Ndabula from Oxford University Press, South Africa. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.